Hi, Gaurav.
Hi Ravi, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Ravi, do you live in the proximity where Mr. Reddy's office is, the farmhouse?
Come again?
Do you live in the proximity of where Mr. Sanjay Reddy's farmhouse is?
No. I won't. I
Oh,
live in Rajajinagar.
oh, okay. Hey, Ravi, you're able to live stream this on the YouTube.
Yeah.
So is this a facility which is available only for like a certain licensed members of the Zoom, or what? You are using a plugin or something?
No. It's available only for the licensed versions.
No, but I mean, licensed versions as in a corporate license or what?
No, it's an individual license.
So, oh, so this gets stored on the YouTube itself.
Yes.
Interesting.
Give me a second. I'm just making you a co-host. If anybody comes, actually just admit them. No.
Sure, sure, absolutely. Go ahead. Hi, Krishna.
Hey, Gaurav. Hey, Ravi.
It's been some time, huh?
Hi.
Long time.
Ravi has joined. Ash has
Ashwin.
joined.
Yeah.
Hello, Ash.
Hello.
Hi, Ashwin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How is everyone?
Yeah, good.
Carrying on, carrying on.
Good. So you're waiting for Arun, Anand, Smith, the doctor, Sanjay.
Yeah, they will join. We just
Arun is
now finished a meeting, so they will join in 5 to 10
Ash,
minutes.
Arun is joining?
I asked him to.
Oh, okay.
Let me check.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hello, Sanjay.
Hi,
Hey, Sanjay.
hi.
I'm calling Arun. Just need a couple of minutes. Hello.
Yeah, Ashwin.
Yeah. So spoke with Arun. He'll be joining shortly. He'll be joining in a
He
minute.
has joined. Right?
He's
He has
joined.
joined.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So this meeting is to go over the workflow breakdown that GJ has done. This is specifically along the lines for catering to the check-in and consultation sign-off experience. This has a focus on the SOAP notes and the diagnosis part of our product. So Gigi has taken a first stab at it, and yeah, I'd like him to explain this. So Gigi, whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Ashwin. So as Ashwin mentioned, we both took a stab at the patient details section, and we taken the freedom to go over and reverse engineer the experience. When I say experience, the user journey and stuff for the doctor as well as the patient. Here and there, the technicians, lab technicians, or the assistants who helps the doctor, right? So basically, there are two chunks of flows we're going to talk about. One is how we rearranged the patient detail section itself for better experience. Another is a consultation flow. Let's assume a patient books an appointment, comes into the clinic, intake happens, examination done by the doctor, and doctor ends the consultation. So this journey we'll discuss about as well. So let me share. Sorry.
Before you share, I just want to set this context. So this will act as a baseline for everyone. I know that, say, for example, Dr. Krishna, Sanjay, and Ravi, like three of you already know all this, but this helps us set a baseline so that the rest of us, as well as new people who will be joining the team in the future, will get an idea as to where we are coming from and what we are trying to achieve. And this is a UX flow, not a user interface screens type of flow. It's an overarching flow. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, Gigi. Go ahead.
Yeah, no,
Let's go.
Ashwin, feel free to chime in whenever, and please keep me corrected as well here. So let me share my screen and get started. So to start off with, let me take a stab, or let me take time to explain how we were thinking about going about the patient details page itself. So if you look at the current experience or the current structure of organization of patient detail is all over the place. And we wanted to make sure everything is logically grouped and doctors feel easy to go through or skim through logical components together. So that's about the first part of the flow journey itself, talking about the patient detail, how we're going to organize it. To start off with, I have majorly segregated the patient details section into two. One is contact side of information, other is group of health data that comes into health side of information. So that is accessible by the doctors. Right. So let me go into detail about the contact side of information for the patient detail. To start off, sorry, I'm getting a lot of background noise. So to start with, there are basic data that we have in our contact side, like consultation details, like visitation history and stuff. And you get to know the registration number to uniquely identify the patient. Then basic details like patient name, like these things I'll quickly go over. There's not much important, or like it's basic, right? So patient detail, date of birth to show the age. Sorry, this is gender. So mobile number, I have taken the freedom to add a tag saying, hey, whose mobile number is this? Is the patient himself or herself, or a guardian? From the conversation with Ashwin, he has mentioned not all the patient will have cell phone number. They will rely on their guardians or their children's to take care of them. So we'll tag them out, whose contact it is exactly. Email address, occupation, and languages, no. I have grouped it as single entity, all these details. Then comes the secondary set in the contact information, where you talk about the marital status, then who referred by. So I have few doubts here on how this is looked by the doctors themselves. how important is for them to understand, like in their diagnosis flow, how important is this marital status, where this comes in, and how important is referred by, like, yeah, that is there. Then I have taken a freedom to add another flow where you can logically group 3 different individuals belonging to the same family. So Ravi was telling us there is a field called MRD while doing booking a appointment by the patient side. If it's an existing patient, and if you punch in the number, you get to see who all the related patient who are attending as well. So I have added saying, hey, this patient's wife is also seeing the same doctor. This patient's, let's say, mother is also seeing the same patient. So I have added the freedom of taken the freedom to add that flow into the contact side of information. Let me take a pause here and let me know if you guys have any questions, or if I feel free to tell me if I made mistakes or is there anything flaw in the flow.
Hey, DJ, can you walk through the health information section also? Then we can pause.
Oh, cool. So this is, as I said, contact information is a very basic detail for a patient. Second set of aggregation where it happens is I have grouped all the health data that is relatable for this patient into information tab, like basic health information tab. This is where the patient's health targets set by different doctors or same doctors saying, like, for example, right, let's say there is a patient, I'll take myself, right? Let's say there's a patient, Krishna is there, and he needs to maintain blood pressure at certain range. Instead of keeping it as a per consultation, I want to keep it as a global targets so that patients can keep seeing themselves saying, okay, this is a target set by the doctor, and as per the last consultation, I was here. So those kind of global targets gets shown in the health information tab, and like general allergies that patient has. Then 2 important details like smoking and alcohol. I have taken the freedom to set the scale here. So there is no, like, logically, it's not possible like a on off or a binary value to say this person smokes or not, right? That's not more informative for diagnosis process. So I have went through CDC to check, hey, what is the scale or linearity in which doctors measure how, like, what's the intensity at which the smokers are. So currently I couldn't find any scale to measure smoking in India, but CDC has that scale saying everyday smoker, former smoker, never smoker, quit attempt happened, or unknown. So same for the alcohol. Alcohol I have taken from Indian thing itself. NIAAA has this where alcohol in moderation, binge alcohol, heavy use, never, unknown. Here I need doctors' help to give me information or inputs on, hey, what all other doctors have the scale? Like, what's the generic scale that every doctors use to understand whether how intensity of smoking and alcohol of a patient. So that's there. Then comes the medical history. So I saw there is a history of information about the patient and their family in 2 different places. So I am trying to group it together so that doctors can quickly skim and say, like, okay, hey, what's happening with you? That is your medical history. Also, I would like to know what is what's your family history, what the medical history of your family comes in. So I am grouping those 2 information under medical history tab. And one thing is I'm a bit unclear about is there is an input field called review of system. If doctors could help me understand, that would be great. Then surgery history comes in. Then comes the previous medication. Like, that's fairly simple. You get to see what all active medication, past medication. Here, my understanding is previous medication is something Okay, I'll come to that during the consultation flow so that I don't get confused. But yeah, previous medication. Then I have grouped all the measurements that are taken during consultation under a tab that has a timestamp to it. Because every time a patient visits the doctor, there are set of examination or the measurements, sometimes vitals, blood pressure, or different set of examination set by different doctors gets collected. So I'm putting it all under one timestamp saying at different time points, hey, these are the measurements you have been taken. So yeah. This is about the overarching idea of enhancing or improving the patient detail and contact information and health information.
Any questions?
Yeah. Yeah, Krishna. One information what we may have to add it in patient contact information is the location of the patient. Actually, we may have to capture at least zip code and city, I guess. Yeah, to find out a geolocation of the.
No, we need a country also. I just want you to know that many of us are patients from other countries.
Yeah, other countries.
So which means also we should be able to put in overseas phone numbers.
Yes.
Right now the system
Right
does
now
not
it is
have
not
that
there,
capability.
I had a small query. This is in regard to patient contact information, the last one about relatives and all that. Since medical history, some people don't like to be spoken about somebody they know, even if it is this one. So I don't know. I want Dr. Krishna to comment on add known patient there.
No, I wouldn't do that. I
didn't want to do it because most of the health information about each patient is individual patient doctor confidentiality. You don't want, until they ask you, don't want to know, sir, my father, they're very close to you. Socially, in our country, we can do it, but I don't think it is applicable.
Anywhere, I think, in anywhere it is confidentiality.
You should take that off.
But what we should do is we should do a designated caregiver / emergency contact. So which means two fields. One is designated caregiver and emergency contact. So these are things that need to be there. So in terms of further development of sharing patient data and information, the designated caregiver is the person to whom data is by default this thing. Fourth, I think we can add additional fields where patient data to be shared with, and it's an opt-in fee by the patient at the time when they register into the portal. That patient data can be shared with, and they can add the names and phone numbers and all of that. So I think these are the fields that need to be added there. So designated caregiver, additional people to which the patient data can be shared to, and that's it. But I don't want this this thing. You can in the patient's portal, you can add a field there saying refer this practice to, and they could do that.
Okay, that's a patient side experience.
Right. Would you like to refer our clinic to anyone else? And so that can come in, but in terms of data integrity from a clinical care perspective, we should not do this.
Got it. But we have give me clarity on this. Give me 1 second. When I say book an appointment and give my number, Ravi showed us a demo where if I'm an existing patient and for this sake, let me put the number.
Correct, because you're already in the system.
There is an option called MRD where I get to see who all these, what do you call?
Yeah, that is because already this mobile number is tagged to multiple patients. In the sense, actually, on a single family, for example, myself and my mother has got a same mobile, is given a same mobile number. So those two names are appearing over there, but never says actually it has to be saying that my data will be shared with my mother or my mother
No, it
data will be
cannot be.
shared with me.
It will not be. So what I'm trying to say is that we do need some information as you know, where, you know, some can be entered at that point of time, or the patient can enter it when they go into the portal saying, what is the designated this thing. And we will also create over a period of time, you can do it now if you want to put the fields called care planning or end of life planning, where, you know, what happens to my healthcare data when I pass away, who should I be shared it to, all of that we can, you know, create as you know, patient initiated fields that they can fill in the portal in their leisure or when they go to the portal. But at least the information that's collected in the thing should include, would you like to designate a caregiver, or would you like to designate an emergency contact, and say, look, there is more information for you to fill in a planning process in the portal. And we could actually, you know, if they log on to the portal, we can have like how the profiles are complete. You could say your profile is X person complete, your profile is X person complete. That includes care planning, share data with so on. So what if an insurance company asks us for information? Do you want us to share the data, or do you want us to check with you? And those kind of things can come in. I'll help you plan that as we go, but
got it.
Right?
Makes sense. Thanks, doctor.
So one thing I wanted to add to this is, so let's say the doctor wants to refer this patient to some other doctor. So should we have something in the doctor's portal to do that, to send this information to another doctor?
It's already there. So at this point of time, I mean, it's not fully functional, but at this point of time, an email can go with the last note of the patient, right? If we could at a future date think about granting that the patient can actually, you know, on that patient, on that thing itself, you know, either with a QR code or a link, the doctor can review the other notes. But generally what we are now doing is, the way it has been designed, it still doesn't happen that way, is that if the doctor's email or if the doctor's WhatsApp is there, a business WhatsApp goes with a referral note and the last note of the patient.
Okay, so I mean, I can talk.
But if the patient, for example, if the patient is also, but remember that if the patient is in the same clinic, right, then when the doctor logs into the patient's notes, the other doctor's notes are already visible. If you're in the same system, then the entire thing is shared.
Yeah, so I think moving forward, we're going to change that, right? Like the way it's going to work is, the patient is going to be one. You can have different doctors from different hospitals or clinics. So the logic of sharing information is, the way we thought about it was, there are two ways to do it. One way is for the doctor to say share, or the other way is for the patient to say, okay, I'm okay giving access to this doctor if they're requesting. I think we are not there yet to give patient the permission to do it.
The way it should be allowed is, there are two ways this is going to happen. One is, if the doctor requests for it, right, then, you know, we could give a link by which, you know, the archived notes and things are available in a presentable format, right, that expires after a certain period of time. Okay, this is one way to do it. The second way, and that ultimately is going to happen, is that, let us say we are part of the universal linkage that the Prime Minister is planning, that this is linked to the patient's UHID, that is Universal Health ID of the country. Then by just entering the patient's UHID, they should be able to pull the information that is required.
Okay.
So at this point of time,
Yeah.
one of the simplest way to share it is, if the patient requests it, is to dump all the SOAP notes as a PDF file, and then email it to the patient or to the doctor, or send a link to which he can download the archival historical notes. If the patient says, share all my information. But generally, at this point of time, a referral can just include the current note. So referral is different. Patient information access on request is different, right? A
Yes,
referral is
correct.
something that you're doing with a certain piece of information. A patient, I want to see your patient records can occur if the patient says, grant this person access. This is one. Or second, you're subpoenaed by a court saying we need this access. Third, we are required by law over a period of time to share patient access, right? So that's why when I think during the planning meetings, I had already said that we need to be prepared for another universal ID that is going to be a linker. Ravi, I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, Ashwin, I think you remember that.
Yes.
I remember this. Actually, sorry, Ashwin, I wanted to say something. So currently the system is being designed in such a way that there is one unique patient ID, even though the patient may exist in different hospitals. That way, when the UHID comes, that can be easily integrated. That's how we are actually planning the system. So even before UHID, we wanted to have this concept of one patient in the entire system. That way, you can easily access patient information from whichever hospital it is. So I think we are already designing it that way.
Okay, cool.
All right. Doctor, sorry to interject. This part of the discussion, I want us to have it, but can we continue with this flow for now? I want GJ to finish this.
So I came in because the question was asked to me.
Hello, Doc. I couldn't hear you.
No. You run it. I came in simply because a question was asked to me.
Yeah, I mean, I asked because I wanted that to be part of. Sorry, I asked so that it can be part of the
just. Okay.
Continue, please.
Got it. Actually, doctor, can you point me the right direction towards the setting up the scale for smoking, alcohol?
Ravi, aren't you already? So have you shared the new template with him? Because I think let him know. I think GJ is spending a lot of time on sort of recreating stuff that we've already tried to fix, right?
Yeah.
So what we have, so Ravi should be spending time with you on this, because I have already reworked the template saying, so move smoking and alcohol down into the clinical space and expand it with yes or no. There is no yes or no right now. And it's been yes, and if it's yes, it opens up. No or alcohol, yes, it opens up. So it does come under a personal history. So it should come into the history tab. So move it down.
Okay.
Ravi, did you share that?
No, not yet, sir, not yet.
Please do it now, because I think he's redoing things that are not required.
Yeah. GJ, what are the parameters we have
Ravi,
altered?
just
Actually,
send him the
I'll be
template.
sharing it across. Yeah, I'll be
Send him
sharing
the
it.
new template
Yes,
design.
Yes.
Okay.
So I have already spent time trying to clean up that the system in such a way, that it looks even more minimalistic than what it is now. It will add a couple more tabs, but it moves all of it into the right place. So if you can get on a call with Ravi, he will send you the new templates and where I've asked things to be moved.
Okay, Doc. And about the question on a review of system and how that comes into the play.
So if you look at it, if you wanted to be completely minimalistic, it is just a SOAP notes. But let's say you want to store information that you want to remember when you're seeing patients, and these are all there. So The review of systems is, so there's a difference between the history and the review of systems. The history is what the patient tells you. The review of systems is not something that is very commonly understood by a lot of people, but it is a big thing that is catching on throughout the world. Review of systems is the doctor asking questions. For example, do you have headache? Do you have jaundice? Do you have vomiting? Do you have this? And these are elicited by the physicians, and it's put there. So just leave it. It's only a data. It is only a data collector pocket. So if you look at the clinical, some of these may be asked just once a year. So it's just left there to update as you go along.
Got it.
So the clinical tab, it should have a family history, which I think Ravi is adding. It has to have a family history tab box. It has to have a menstrual history box for women. It needs to have, and Ravi I've already talked to Ravi, and he's probably updating all of those. So that's why I said, that's going to come off in the next build and before we hand it over to you. So it'll be cleaned up, and there'll be a personal history space. I've asked him to add tobacco, which is very common in India, but not elsewhere. So chewing tobacco is part of smoking alcohol and chewing tobacco, right? Then review of systems, then surgeries, then past medications. That is, what are the medications the patient was taking before he came into this practice? Right?
Got it. But these before happenings, right? Like before coming into EMR, what are the past medication? Like who takes the effort to punching into the system, doctor?
No, it's just a narrative, right? Most of the time, you won't have anything to import from. It'll be written by the doctor's assistant saying that this person is taking the following medications. That's all it is. It's a text field. At this point of time, the text field. But someday, when you want to pull it out from another system, then we can do that. But at this point of time, let's just leave it the way it is. I wouldn't spend too much of my time, creating import spaces for that. Leave it as a text field for now. We could always, link it to the generic pharmacopoeia space, whereas you type it predicts the drug. That's all.
Got it.
So we have a generic list of drugs. As I type it, it can do a prediction there.
Understood. Okay.
So I have another question in regards to that flow? Do we need to attach if let's say that they bring you the prescriptions, right, of what they were using before, do you want to attach them and store that information?
Not necessarily, very rarely do people do that. You can pull it up and archive it if you're really interested, but most of that stuff is junk anyway.
Doc, it might not be necessarily for prescriptions, right? Maybe say an MRI scan that was taken 6 months ago, or something that's of very taken with a very specific intent, like such lab reports. Those might come here, right?
Right. So in fact, one of the things that I've been telling Ravi is that I need a date field on the lab reports. For example, if there's a historical import, for example, let's say it's a tumor, and the tumor and an MRI was done 1 year ago, I should be able to enter that date and put the size of the tumor and follow it historically. Yes, but that comes into the lab field. But
okay,
people give I know a lot of EMRs. People are talking about extracting images of archival nature and putting it in. In chronic care practice, there is very little information, very little. Having the ability to store an important image with a previous date is a great thing. It will not be used much, but to be able to do that, so you could say upload important images and then be able to tag it with the date on which it was done. A lot of times, the big issue is for us is not that these images are available, but to be able to sort of say that this was done on such and such a date, and that's why we've got it, and this is a comparison.
In fact, to adding to that section, actually, yes, we are reworking on that lab information parameters also. That section is also getting reworked. Doctor has given me some more input, like saying that he wanted to have both the options, like he wanted to store the regular data along with the images, and when it has been done and what is the reason. So all these things we are incorporating in the new build.
So as the parameters are entered, there is a space for upload image, and then that gets put into it. That upload image can be also a previous prescription, but we don't want it to be so image intensive that that it slows up the system significantly. We'll be very careful about bandwidth in many of these clinics. And again, remember that we are targeting clinics and not very high-end specialties, hospitals.
Okay, understood.
It's a nice to have, but in priority it is very low to medium.
Okay, just one more thing I'll add, and then GJ can continue. So the reason I asked that is, so the way we want to collect past information, we wanted it to collect it in the way that it automatically integrates into our system in a really nice way, so that you can view the past information that was not part of our current EMR in a way that it looks like it is. That's why images will help. In the future, if at all we bring in OCR or other stuff, we will be able to bring in all the information from the image itself. That's the reason behind pushing for uploading images now itself. But yeah, I mean, I would like us to, if you're right, entering a prescription, we would be referring our prescription database, get the information and store it like that. It will not just be a text field. Just wanted to mention that. But yeah, you can continue.
So see, that's why I said our ability to scrub PDFs and is very, very key here. Right? If we're able to scrub PDFs and or images and then be able to populate our lab fields, then that gives a very big historical perspective for us. Correct? So
yes.
So
OCR is definitely being considered.
So I let me put it this way. My interest in this is actually looking at the future. And that is if you're able to classify the data and not just bunk an image that is pulled up as a PDF, right? Then we are talking about future application, personalized medicine, those kind of stuff where we can set up rules that will help guide the patient care over a period of time. But if it's just going to be pulled up as a PDF or a thing, it probably has very little data, very little benefit to us in the long run in our strategy. So if you have a way of not just displaying the data, which the doctor is interested in, he at some point of time he's not going to get too worried about it. But from our point as a strategy, the ability to categorize the data and pull it to specific fields is more important. For example, today I was talking to Ravi and Sanjay about something about one of our things, and I was saying, look, for me the ECG is interesting. ECG image also is interesting, but for me the most important thing is to be able to parameterize the ECG into what is the PR interval, what is the QRS, what is the QTC. If the raw data is not available for us to categorize and push it into certain fields that we can use to build algorithms or AI, or use it for AI or machine learning or to personalize medicine, then it won't have a future value. So I'm not really interested in the past in that sense, in the sense that yeah, it's great. It's what every EMR wants to sell, but I don't know that's what our EMR has to sell. Our EMR has to sell that it's future ready. Look, I can pull out your past data and help you decide on what you're going to do for the patient. So that's really the key to this whole thing. Are you able to pull it, and are you able to categorize it into the appropriate boxes? Otherwise, that piece of paper does not, it has an historical value, but it's of limited value.
Now, Dr. Krishna, can I comment? Yeah. Now, to look at past medical records and put these as images, as Dr. Krishna is talking, just the image will not give us any sense. Now, you have 3 or 4 types of data which patient gets in. One is a prescription, one is lab reports, other things are X-rays and ultrasound reports, other things are ECG, other one is an echo report or an MRI scan report or a CT scan or so many, or they are radiological diagnostics or probably a graph or some values. Now, these values, what Dr. Krishna was telling us, these are 5 different things, 5 or 6 of different categories of reports which the patient gets to you when he's coming for the first time. If this can be collated and just come onto the appropriate boxes, it makes sense. Just capturing them again on just to be there, I don't think will have much. You're only crowding up the system. Hope you got it.
I mean, I got it. Yeah.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Shall we continue?
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay. So let's go to a flow where the consultation, where we went over the consultation flow. Let's assume a patient comes in, and let's assume a patient books an appointment, comes to the clinic, visits the doctor, examination is done, then doctor signs off or ends the consultation with something, right? So let's go over that flow. So let's start with check-in where appointment is being booked by the patient. So I've taken the freedom to rearrange a couple of things based on the experience, starting with the specialization, because from patient's perspective, there's something they'll be thinking about is, hey, like who am I consulting and what am I consulting about? And like based on specialization and doctor selection, and we will narrow it down the dates and time slot available. Then we can go about asking them, hey, are you an existing patient or are you a new patient? So existing patient, new patient, there isn't much difference other than the fact you get to select if there are multiple records to one single phone number. So that's the thing. Then the patient describes his or her problem, and the payment is set up and sets the or books the appointment. So let's say today is the appointment date. The patient visits the clinic where intake flow comes in, where a doctor has set up a workflow where you need to give certain data to the EMR itself. Those data gets updated by like technician. Some places technician takes these, updates the value, takes these tests, or some places doctor himself or herself updates these data. With our example, we got certain target values that gets measured, like set by the doctor and gets measured. Then basic data like height, weight, whatnot, right? And BP data, vitals, and this is something specialization, or like this doctor requires a foot examination for his specialization. So he has his workflow set up saying, hey, whenever my patient comes to the clinic, make sure this is updated before the consultation or sometimes during the consultation itself. So here where the doctor side workflow setup flow comes in, and where doctor says, for my patient, these are the workflows has to be done, so on. So that we will cover in another call. So that's where you get to know what all data needs to be collected for a particular patient. So this data is where it is collected by the technician or doctor again, that goes into the patient side of information, health information tab. So yeah, now that intake is done, patient goes to the doctor where the examination starts. So this is where vital thing happens, right? There are two perspectives. One is a patient giving the data and entering the doctor's office. Another is doctor before the consultation goes over the patient's data, saying, "Hey, what's has been happened?" Trying to understand all these factors, and goes over the a note from the appointment form saying what is the problem detail, or like that comes under subjective for the current consultation, right? And doctor will have freedom to go in the past and check other history of soap notes, but it always lands to the current consultation soap notes along with the note from the appointment form, like book an appointment from, right? So the doctor and the patient has the conversation, patient tells about the problem that he or she has. So that becomes the subjective part of the soap note, where patient tells what is happening. Then objective is doctor observing what all things are based on patient's information. This objective is or what do you call, like objective, like this objective is helped by certain data. One is glucometer reading. This is again the example we are sitting here is this doctor has a health widget or like a widget, a workflow setup saying, I want to see my glucometer reading of the patient. This comes under chronic care devices, where you get to constantly see the data of the patients. And there are other factors that helps the objective part of the soap notes for the doctor, or the lab reports, where the doctor goes over the hemogram, NAFLD, and some attachments doctor might have suggested to take, let's say, blood test. Hey, when you come next time, kindly take a blood test or whatnot, right? So the patient gets to upload all these PDF, and that gets used during the objective to understand or to observe what is happening with the patient. So based on the subjective and objective, doctor does an analysis and comes up with a plan, right? This plan is again taken to a set of actions. So first, the doctor does the adds the diagnosis, whether there are two types, right? Whether the doctor resolves the previously diagnosing, or it can be newly added diagnosis based on ICD-10 mapping and stuff, the basic things, right? Then there is a verbal communication, or basically education happens between doctor and patient. Doctor tries to educate the patient saying what is our next set of plan to go over the diagnosis. After that verbal education, the doctor creates in parallel with the education, doctor creates a prescription, adds the medicine, test needed, notes to the patient, or if he needs to refer to another doctor. This is where doctor was telling us, right? Like where when you refer to another doctor, the current soap note gets attached with it, right? And suggests the next appointment date. And this is the section where the doctor gets to also see the previous prescription. And by default, we are planning whenever the current consultation happens, it always starts with the previous prescription, so that doctor could go over if it is just a substitution or it is a refill. That's easy for him her to do it. Then finally, he signs off with notes to the staff saying, hey, can you teach him to how he can do the glucometer reading or like whatnot, right? Like to help the patient understand or anything. So the consultation part is now ending with creation of prescription. Then the doctor goes off and ends the consultation with whether printing notes and sending these prescription and things to WhatsApp and stuff. So this is the overview on the consultation flow. I have a bunch of questions, but I'll take a pause. Let me know what do you guys think.
TJ, can you zoom in on the examination section?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
But do you guys think is
So
there any
Ashwin,
flaw in the flow?
as I
Or
said, let's change the word analysis to assessment. I think that will sound well in future iterations. Right. Perfect.
Okay. So if we don't have any other questions.
So one thing you'll see in the next iteration is that the education will move here. That under the plan. So all the things are subjective, objective, assessment, plan, education, test required for next visit, and next visit will all come off here. So
That's the E in SOAP, DJ.
Yeah, the E in SOAP and
Disposition.
D is disposition, right?
Okay.
got it.
Okay.
But sorry, Ashwin, like before that, is this the flow is something that's happening for your doctor, or is there any flaw in the flow? Is something like saying, hey, this is not how I go over in my clinic, or is there something, some more breakage in the flow or something? Is there something that you think?
No, the important thing is that the smart way to do that is that as you do the objective bit, if the lab parameters start showing up, right? And then, but basically what see we went through this in a lot of iteration, and you can is that whenever you work anywhere, you like to have a constant workspace. Your SOAP notes is your workspace, right? And on the right side is, except for the prescription, which I think we deliberately did it because we need a space to push it there. Everything else is supportive information that goes into that you're going to fill in. The one thing that I was thinking about today as you were presenting is that because we are actually filling it up with the previous notes, right? And you're giving the doctor the ability to rewrite it or just retain it, right? Maybe it should be of another color or something else so that that anything that is new becomes another color. Just till the whole process is done. So that you know what was there previously and what you're changing. That's the only thing that I thought of as you were presenting today. I've not thought of it this whole year, but as you're presenting it, I thought one thing we should probably do is that the previous what has been just transferred in previous notes is in one color, and then you keep adding to it or changing it, then that is a color change. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Got it.
No, agreed. I mean, like you need to know what is like written previously.
Yeah.
The last portion to show you that difference. The last known SOAP note versus the upcoming one would make a big difference in knowing, so when you have your calls, whether virtual or you immediately get to know that, okay, I'm going to see this is the last set of things that I want to ask a question about versus now this is what I'm entering.
So in fact, it's worked out very well for me in online consults, right? So I would have seen the patient six months ago, and the previous note is pulled in, right? And it says has headaches. And I actually start by asking questions. How's your headache now? And then all I do is go to that particular headache thing that was there and say, I just add headache resolved or headache persists. And I found that this is a great way to do practice. And then I'm planning to do workshop with doctors, and that's exactly what I'm going to keep telling them. That this is a great way for you to. The patient is wonderful because you've addressed a problem that they've seen you for 3 months, and they may have forgotten it that you have not. So this idea of pulling in the old notes into this note, that is the previous note into this note, is great, but we need to sort of keep a different color and whatever you add remains a different color so that we know what we're doing. So that's that. But this system has worked out well. Ravi, how does Tejal uses the same format, right?
Yeah. Tejal, everybody uses same format. Sir.
They're happy with this.
Yes.
That the old is coming there.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry. I don't want to go on.
There's a valid information. Thanks for that, doctor.
What I felt is actually there is a preventive medicine tab is missing in this actually. Few things are preventive for us, like their immunization part, then their targets, that diagnosis based targets is one thing, wherein you won't see that actually it's we have mentioned it as a PCV 13, PN 23 influenza. These three things are a preventive. These are all the immunization parameters. Okay, these things will come in as a separate section for us now in the current scenario, and based on the diagnosis, yes, targets should come automatically. That's what doctor is insisting for on a new update, so that we are working on it. Those things will going to get a change. Apart from that, actually, I guess some of the lab parameters are based on what you call time schedules. Like foot examination will be done once in a year. High examination will be done in once in a year. So if it is not done, actually it has to automatically populate and it has to showcase it has not been done or something like that. So those things we are working on it.
Okay, a couple of questions there. All these things, I assumed these are targets and gets updated.
It's not the targets. It's not the targets.
And where in the workflow that these three elements comes in?
That's what that will be in preventive preventive medication section in the new tab. Actually, right now we are working on it. So there, all these things will going to come fall in over there. Like when they last had a dose of PCV 13, when they had a PN 23 had a dose, and when they had a influenza, when they have taken the influenza, and when it is their next this thing is pending.
And I'm guessing COVID vaccination also comes in here.
Yes.
Got it. And does these parameters changes per patient or like as per the different doctors, or it is just generic field for any patient that signs up into EMR?
At present, these are all the common.
So you get tagged on to some diagnostic codes also.
Yeah.
So we could leave it manual, or we could at some point of time just tag it on. Let's say it's a diabetic. Then the moment that we will give rules, if the age is more than 30, then it already automatically pops up. So the way at some point of time we need to structure it, that all the names of all the vaccinations and the time frequencies are available, but some of these are grayed till a diagnosis is entered.
Got it.
And even the targets are based on diagnosis again. So it's a predefined what do you call diagnosis wise targets to be updated over there. Yes, Anand, I think you have raised an hand. Sorry.
Yeah, so basically targets are some things that they have to be reminded about, right? They are more like reminders, right? Today we are reminding them about vaccination. Tomorrow it could be about a blood test. It can be anything like that, right?
Absolutely.
And all of those things
it can also be a practice improvement thing. Let us say that someday we are offering a practice improvement program, and it pops up in the dashboard. Look, your average HbA1c is 7. Your average blood pressure for your entire practice is 120, 140 by 90. Only X number of patients are getting a fundus exam. So there is a both a business as well as a quality angle to it that we can explore, and that's why we're building in these targets into the system itself. So when you open the dashboard, besides the amount of money you're making and the number of patients, that you can compare yourself with other people in the system on where you are in terms of your patient care and your outcomes.
Okay. So let's say that they have standard questions for immunization when they're actually either booking an appointment or creating the patient portal. And then we'll have those codes so we can add them as reminders in this page whenever we want, based on the date and whether they need immunization or not. That can be a separate thing that can be hooked into this reminder or target, however we want to call it. But that information collection should not happen here. It should happen before this page when it comes to immunization. But whereas when it comes to other tests, I think you can add that. We'll give something like a free form thing which can be structured into however you want, and that can become a reminder. That's the concept that I'm trying to suggest here. Anything can be a reminder. So keep it free flow, and it should be built in such a way that it can be of any type. It can be an immunization, it can be a normal injection, it can be just a tablet, or it can just be blood pressure check. And they'll all pop up here as reminders.
True, but that's also important in the patient portal more than the doctor's portal. Sometimes there are too many reminders. In fact, I was telling Ravi, non-critical reminders, just make sure that there is just a dot or something, or a color change to indicate that something needs to be addressed. But it need not be something that that irritates the doctor so much that he complains that this is too controlling on him. So at some point of time, we will what is it called, segregate it and say that look, if you just want the basic, then this is what we have. You want to be part of the clinical improvement program, this is how much you pay extra, and this is the kind of support you get. So you can set the levels of support. So unobtrusively there will be a reminder. What we've also importantly is especially with the glucose and other things, there are alerts called critical alerts. So for example, you set a caregiver, and let's say your sugars are showing 60 and 70. So we will, in the lab space, we will also set what are called critical stuff, or something, especially when we start importing healthcare data from the phone. Let us say you're finding that there is no pulse that's been recorded and the device is on, then then there needs to be a critical alert going to a caregiver. So that is another thing that I have asked Ravi to put in, that set a critical alert value, and then those critical alert, and especially for the right now for the glucometer. So if they find a glucose of 60, then a caregiver needs to be alert.
Okay.
Actually, I have a question, something around what Ravi spoke. So whenever a diagnosis gets added, there are set of examinations gets added along, right? It's not a manual entry. Am I right?
Yes, it's automatically it has to come up, and similar way the targets also based on the diagnosis.
Got it. And I'm assuming
It can be a 2 or 3 tier also. Remember there are levels of complexity to it. For example, let us say I'm diabetic, right? And HbA1c targets are set, but there may be 1 or 2 more layers. Say, for example, I'm diabetic, but I'm diabetic for the last 5 years. The HbA1c target may be 6.5, but if I'm a diabetic and I'm diabetic for more than 10 years, so it can be dynamic, and it can also be set individually. So we'll have to do that. And not completely automatic. So we may have to add a couple of fields of individualized targets. These targets can get what I've told Ravi is populate the target, but then give the way that the doctor can edit it for the individual patient.
Okay. Then there is an automatic target or a default target set by like whenever that gets populated.
Right. You can set up a default target that is based on the default target is based on the published guidelines. But remember that it has to be individualized for patients. So the target area, so the doctor can vary the target depending on the patient condition. That's all I'm saying.
Got it.
The big buzzword in medicine today is so in the last 10 years it was protocolization. But now the big buzzword is personalization and individualization.
Okay. So GJ, got your questions answered?
I have a couple of questions on the prescription side.
Go for
Like
it.
I would like to understand how the scale is being set for each dosage. Like, how is there a scale, or is there a generic code words or like terms to come up for the dosage, doctor?
No, so we've chosen the one that India uses a lot, right? So you go to the first one, there is and you start typing, a generic name pops up. Then it allows you to choose between the brand names. And if, let's say your pharmacy is linked to it, like some of these are, what's available in the pharmacy pops up, right, Ravi?
Yes, sir.
So if you're somebody who just uses an external pharmacy, you can choose any of those that you want.
Okay.
And then what's available pops up, and then you say 100, 200. It's usually a tablet, right? So it tells you how
In
many
fact,
tablets.
Krishna, Krishna Ji, we have a table called dosage, TBL dosage, wherein we are trying to capture what all the combination of permutation can happen with the dosage system. But some of the things actually it cannot happen as a dosage system, like it has to be in a units also. Some of them are in different categorization and all these things. So we are trying to make it a a regularized parameter, because we wanted to monitor a patient, whether the patient is taking the medicine on time or not. Adherence, we wanted to capture it across through the app. So on this perspective, we are reworking on the dosage things. Probably we can take a call offline and we can have a discussion on that.
Got it. Thanks, Ravi.
And then the next one is also the instruction to take it, right, before food or after food.
Yeah.
And by default, we have kept it as next visit, but that can change. It's a duration.
It's a duration of the drug, how long they have to take it across.
Got it. And what's this IMP stop?
Yeah, that is an IMP means actually if it is an important medicine, they wanted to highlight it, then we have given an option to select it, and that medicine will be highlighted always, and it will be printed as a bold in all the time in the prescription, so that patient doesn't have to forget about it. And stop is when the medicine has been stopped. If the
it monitors both modified and stopped.
Okay. Both we are
capturing it will tell you. It will also tell you when it is stopped. That goes in the archive.
It goes into the archive tab. Yeah.
But importantly, also in the prescription, you will notice any new patient, any new drug is bolded, and anything where the dose is modified is italicized.
Italic, yeah, italic.
How would it's just a noob question. How would a patient would understand between bold and italicized?
Because we are telling them.
Okay.
And I think there is a thing saying new. I think there's an explanation also in the bottom in the printed form saying bold means new drug and.
Okay. Got it.
And so let's say that. Sorry, I have a question. So let's say that a medicine is optional. You only take it when you have pain. How will you mention that in this current prescription?
As needed, as desired, as instructed.
Do we have specific fields in the dosage for that, Ravi?
So not in the dosage. It's actually that it's how it has to be. It's an instruction. So as needed, they will be adding it across.
A new medicine, no?
And in the dosage, they will write SOS as
SOS. SOS is standard for everybody knows actually.
SOS as needed, as directed, as instructed.
Okay. So we have all this information in the static tables as well, right?
Yes.
Ravi?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
cool. So we'll be able to pull
we do have a dosage table also. One is a dosage table. One more is a usage table. Usage is a instruction table, wherein right now while we are converting into an HTML parameter, we wanted a Unicode adaptation. So if they whatever they enter it in English based on the languages known, we are converting it into local language and we are populating that instruction also. That is done.
Okay.
That
that's
update
great.
is coming tonight, right, Ravi?
So if we wind up early, then yes.
Okay. We'll by 5 o'clock in the morning we'll wind up. Don't worry.
And doctor, can you explain me how this refill come into play and substitution come into play?
So refill is actually an instruction to the pharmacy that says that how many times can you give the drug again without coming back for a fresh prescription, right? Substitution is basically to tell the pharmacy that can you give, let us say a generic, that a particular trade name that you have written is not available, can I substitute it? We don't have generic substitutions in India, so that's that.
Okay.
In the US now we have even generic substitutions.
Yeah, these are all mandatory for as per the MCA guidelines. So that is why we have kept it.
And substitution, another experience point of view, do you think against each medicine, should it be substitution or it should be a generic prescription wise substitution?
No one's going to fill it. That's the problem. But it generally at this point of time, most of us are doing, prescription wise.
Mm.
To answer your question, there should be a thing. It should really be drug wise. But there do not find a single prescription in the world that says single.
And
item wise, it doesn't allow item wise testing. Most of us will just say, do not substitute or substitute.
Got it. And this refill.
The only prescription where I saw that was Apollo's, where Apollo's 24/7 app, which talks about for everything, do not substitute or substitute. You could put a tick mark in it and leave it. May substitute as a tick mark, so you could do that. And leave a default as substitute or not substitute set by the doctor.
Got it. And regarding this refill thing, I was discussing with Ashwin. Currently in India, I'm not sure if we are strictly following this refill factor. I can still go into a pharmacy with 3 months old prescription, get the same medicine. How important do you think this will play in the country?
It's very important because tomorrow, if you're going to say no refills, right, and the pharmacist goes ahead and does it, you can actually go to jail even in India.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the laws are quite there.
There is another thing which now, if you're buying online, if the number of days is over and there's no refill, is not going to give it to you.
Oh, okay.
If you go, any patient come wanting an online prescription or a refill, ask for a first prescription. Once that is, suppose I say 90 days this drug, they won't give it more than 90 days. He needs to come back to me to get a new prescription or ask for a refill until the refill is mentioned. So all online prescriptions are all online drug sales today want how many days the refill is there or not. If they find a refill, then there's certain scheduled Y drugs, like for example, drugs like tranquilizers, so certain drugs which are antidepressants and all of these, you won't even get one drug more than that. You need a separate prescription.
Well, that you also need a triplicate for some of these. But Ravi, you want to show if you click submit, you're going to see the disclaimer, the standard.
He has got the structure.
So when you submit it will show exactly what we mean by this.
Sorry, I couldn't understand.
If you click submit, you will see exactly what is written there, because it says not
Yes,
valid
you can open a prescription
until the date of next visit that has been. You see that?
There's a disclaimer in the prescription
Okay,
section.
should I print?
Yeah, it's there, no? Yeah.
Until next day.
No. Ravi, can you see that? Is it there?
This is no,
In
that
the
we have.
HTML, it's not there. Huh?
No, sir. Actually, that has been done only on a online consultation purpose, not on the regular clinic.
No, it should be on the regular one also.
Okay.
Ravi,
Yes.
the
One second.
same thing on the regular one also, please. It's already there in the regular one. It's maybe when you brought it HTML, it did not show up.
No, sir. We clearly
Amma,
instructed on.
it should be there. It should be available only till the date.
Yes.
This cannot be prescribed beyond the next visit date. All of that is there. So just share it with them. Huh?
Should,
Ravi, make sure it is there in the regular prescription also.
yes.
And as all of you were speaking, you go with one prescription for 3 years. In a regular pharmacy, they will give it. Online, you will not get it. Now, this is going to happen. Recently, one of my the chemist I know, there was a prescription for cough syrup. This prescription had expired. The police were following this fellow. That guy was a cough syrup addict. They came, took this book, a chemist also, and said, how can you give it on an expired prescription? So if they want to target, they really put the rules are there. But I don't know, the implementation is going to happen, is happening, and it'll happen more stronger in the future. So we need to get these right.
One sec, I'm just sharing it. It's there
Should I
actually.
stop sharing?
Yeah. Yeah, we have this information. You can see here. This is the.
Got it. And when a doctor says refill 1, 2, or 3, how would the pharmacy go against validating on which time you are getting refilled for?
That we don't actually how the pharmacy does it actually, but as a rule, we have to mention it on the prescription side. So that is why we are giving it. The validation part on the pharmacy, I think we have to ask some pharmacist only.
No, I think this is the issue, right? This is actually a carryover from the US.
Yes,
that
it's not the
indicate-
standard practice as
So
of
they
now.
would say give the, for example, let's say this is for 90 days. The doctor will write, give it for 30 days and give 3 refills, right? That's because a clinical pharmacist is there. We don't do that simply because our patients may get 10-day work. So when you, actually it's a pharmacist's job to keep the number of refills counted. So he will say that I will not give it. If you say not more than 3 refills, then it means no, that irrespective of the number of visits you go, he will not give it to you more than 3 times. So it's a carryover. It is something that we all use in our prescriptions, but not many people understand it. Generally, we will say 1 refill and stop, or no refill. The standard answer in India is no refills.
Got it.
Will come in shortly. It's not a standard practice, but it will follow shortly.
In the US, the prescription will say dispense for.
Yes.
We don't do that here because that's something that's generally not done. When we tailor it to the US practice, we can add the dispense for. The word in the US prescription will be SIG, SIG.
Okay, GJ. We good?
I think I don't have any more questions.
Okay then. So, well, thank you, GJ, for the presentation. With whatever information we have collected, I think we can go over this again, make the necessary changes, and then figure out the next set of flows.
Got it.
GJ, sit with Ravi because some of the stuff. I think by the time, I mean, we were hoping to get out of all of this today. It's not happened, but some of this is already worked on. So you need to sort of align with it.
Got it, doctor. I'll sit with Ravi.
Okay.
So GJ works Monday to Friday, usually from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. So till now, GJ and I have been having a stand-up sort of sync-up call every day at 8. I've asked Ravi. He told me that whenever he's available, he be able to meet. So we can maybe plan accordingly. We can take that offline and plan it in Slack.
Yeah, sure.
But if anyone else wants to give an input, wants to be part of the design discussion, and wants to be part of this call also, just go over updates. Let me know. I'll add you to the call. Okay. So that's on the design front. So Smith, Dinesh, and myself are supposed to come to Bangalore, or well, to Sanjay's farm at least.
Yes, now you're welcome anytime. So I would just, how are you guys placed on 26th? No, this was because Dr. Krishna also said what Dr. Krishna wanted to give us is take this, whatever is there, and give us a demo and to all of us who's involved, as to say what exactly he looks for and how he wants us to give a demo for somebody tomorrow. Tell us nitty-gritties of how, because he's used the platform the maximum and he's designed it. So if and he wants all of us to meet at one place. So I just thought of 26, but any date is fine. So where we can meet all physically, whoever is there in India and Bangalore, and we can connect to people elsewhere. So you need to tell us.
Okay.
And at the same time, come out with something like a basic user manual, which will go out at the end of the agenda. Was he would all brief us once when everybody is there, so all our doubts and queries are cleared, the basic ones, and probably come out with a small user manual and a PPT by the end of that discussion. Because
okay. Regarding the meetup, I'll have a chat with Smith and Dinesh tomorrow. And I'll let you know next.
And either he coming here or all of us meeting at one place. Now you can decide a time and a day earlier, or one day, or one over 1.5 hours, however it is. Please let us know. Even if I'm okay anywhere. So we need to sit up, and these two things are very important for us to pitch up to people. First, we need to have a small PowerPoint at the end of this presentation, at the end of the discussion on that day, and also all the queries. When we all of us sit across and see the same flow, how exactly it happens, what are the small things which we'll get in. So try to get a small user manual like. So we need to pitch it to doctors when we meet them. So this is one thing which, and for all of us to sit and go through the whole of this EMR step by step is going to be very vital to see, to change. Like now, if a patient comes in, what happens? Probably a role play, and then look up all this and say, how long will it take? We can do some small demo and see what happens with the exact workflow when we do it practically. Does it sound good? And Krishna wants us to take us all through this for some time, and then we come out with these two things: a small PPT as well as a small user manual, not entirely, but at least the flow of the user manual, which we will go on. What do you think? Is it the right? I think this, at least the first version of it.
Yeah, the PPT is definitely something I agree. Or
and also based on that, a small way to say.
See, I also want, the main reason was when we pitch it to doctors, and we have our staff. They need to help people, troubleshoot or even get onboarded or work towards it. And I had originally planned this with a smaller group, especially the ones who are going to train. But it's probably a good idea to do some patient workflows with everyone, so that you get a feel for what would be nice is if we can set it up in such a way that I can actually talk to a patient or something, do this thing, and have a camera actually from behind me that's showing exactly what I'm doing, projected onto the screen. And then we learn a lot by that. And that helps, whether it's the design, making it easier, making it better, but also understanding the nuances of what we're doing. Sometimes those nuances are not captured when we just talk. It gets captured when we do. So I think for the tech team, I think that's the most important thing. a camera behind me, and then or at least doing a screen recording and showing it as I work, and it allows you to get that little bit extra bit. And then we can again troubleshoot and do a lot of stuff. It will save a lot of time also, because then we are all in the same page and we agree, and then we move forward.
And the understanding is much better. You know how exactly if the patient moves on, what and all happens. Something like.
Okay.
So, okay. You need to set up the date.
Let me just talk to Smith, Dinesh, and also the doc.
Yes.
Also GJ, if he can also make it. So everyone in Chennai, basically.
Even if Saurav, and there's a new team, and also there's a new person who joined. So get to know all of them. It would be nice to take it forward. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I'm game. No, we can plan and we can go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Right. That is
okay. So the next thing is this is a request to everyone. We have set up a Slack channel, right? So can we move all our conversations to the Slack channel?
Yes. I was the one who's not gone into it. We'll move all of it there. Yeah.
So GJ has been asking me questions, but if all of us are on Slack, he can post those questions on the design channel, and whoever is available can answer it. It just makes it easier.
Yes.
Not just that, generally any conversations.
Okay.
Doc, are you asking you want to bail out from this, from Slack or Zoom right now? Okay. Yeah, I think we're good.
Ashwin, I'd just like to add that I'd like to join that group that you were talking about, like for design and those conversations. That's just speaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an open channel. I'll tag you there.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
So okay, so that's that. Then what else? We have been working on the deck. Smith has been putting in some numbers and updating it as needed. I think Arun, we need to go over it sometime this week and finalize how we want to keep the narrative for it.
Sure. Okay. Look forward to it, and then.
Sanjay, I also have some ideas on how we can set up sort of a very structured.
I want to spend time.
Customer support. I want to have a chat with you on how to go about doing that, including setting up the knowledge base.
Yes, definitely. Ashwin was just wanted to get you guys on, just get into the organizational level as to say how we move forward. And I need help on that, and definitely would get into chat with you on this. Whenever you want to, I'm okay. Any day. What time are you? Oh, okay, I'm fine in every afternoon or evening. Anytime is fine.
Okay. Can I just ping you over the course of the week, and then we can just pick a time?
Yes, definitely. Okay. That would be fine, Ashwin. We can have a chat on that and then go through this whole process. Yes.
Okay. And one last update. Anand will be doing a presentation on the architecture changes that he's been working on. He'll be doing this next week.
Okay.
And yeah, that's it.
Okay, done.
Yep. Updates. Does anyone else have anything?
That's it.
Hello.
Okay, that's it. I think Ashwin for the day.
Okay.
So Ashwin,
yeah, that's it. No other updates.
All right, everyone. Just ping me on Slack if you have any questions.
Okay.
We can close for the day.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Right. Good night. Good day.
Thank you. Thank you, GJ, for the work.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Bye. GJ, great work, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Smith.
Okay. Nice work, and thank you. Thanks, Ravi.
Yes.
Thanks, Doctor.
Ashwin, Arun.
Let's connect offline, Ashwin and GJ.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
Bye-bye,
do
guys.
that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.